Welcome to Mother Hubbard's Flower Farm and Nursery in Northwest Indiana. We're going out of town for about a week. And other than making sure someone was here to take care of our home and our pets, one of my bigger concerns is how am I going to keep my nursery watered? We have a ton of money invested in plants, and the last thing that I want is for them to all dry up and die in the week that we're gone. After all, I've invested a ton of money and time into these plants. This is our future revenue, so I really want to make sure that they're taken care of. Now, if we had not bootstrapped all of this, I would have this all set up on timers and it wouldn't even be a concern. However, we bootstrapped everything. So while I have emitters set up, the pump doesn't have enough power to water everything at once. So I literally turn them on one at a time, which is fine, and it works for me on a daily basis. But going out of town, now I'm stuck with this situation. So I've already run our pump down to 0 pounds and then timed it to see how long it took to get till the pump shut off. And that was about 11.5 minutes. Now I'm going to be running hoses and sprinklers. So anybody who's ever used a hose and sprinkler knows you almost always have some leakage. And then I have some timers with 2 different emitters so I can run 2 different zones. So the pump taking about 11.5 minutes to recycle, I'm going to have a safety net of about 15 minutes between each zone just to make sure that pump has time to get all the way back to fully charged. Now I got some timers off of Amazon. I've used these before. There's 2 different emitters so I can run 2 different zones. And then I've got a splitter off the pump so I can put 3 of these on, 4 if I really wanted to, but it gets a little too tight then. So I'm gonna plug these in to the hose bib and then put our hoses on here and run different zones. Now what I'm doing is I'm gonna set up a zone. I'm going to run the sprinkler and see how long it takes for the pump to cycle back down, what the runtime is with the sprinkler, because every sprinkler is different and I have different sprinklers set up. So this is going to be kind of a half a day to all day process, but I thought it was important to document this because, you know, if you're looking into getting into something like this, the hope is that you can eventually take a vacation. Well, if you do that and it's not going to rain, which I think there might be 1 day of rain while we're gone, I figured I would share this with you because if you're actually looking into a nursery or a flower farm, if you need to take time away or you get to take a vacation, you know, maintaining your plant's health is super important. Of course, there's another train. Filming in this location is an exercise in patience. I just ran the hose for a second to clear out any debris because I definitely don't want to clog up my sprinkler here. So I'm going to let this run and time how long it takes to drain that pump and also see what the distance is because I'm going to have to crowd all of these plants into this area. So I want to make sure that everything is getting an adequate amount of water, and having dry zones is going to be something I want to avoid. So I'm going to get my phone out from my timer and go turn the sprinkler on. Okay, change camera angles because the sun is coming out. But what I want to do here is watch this sprinkler when it's either quits spinning or loses pressure. I want to record that time. I only want my sprinkler to run as it's running efficiently. If it goes off for 15 minutes and kicks on for another 2 or 3 minutes, then that's fine. Just, you know, keep track of that time so you can make those decisions. The other thing I'm doing is making sure that all of my sprinklers are working and turning the way they're supposed to. Okay. I don't even know if the camera's going to pick that up or not. So at about 4.5 minutes, we are at 20 pounds of pressure in the tank. So I think I'll have it run for 5 minutes, shut off for 15, and then turn back on for another 5. We'll see. So a few things I noticed, and this is what's going to be important if you're doing this, is one, the sprinkler's coming all the way out here pretty strong. I don't need it this far, but I do have a lot of water coming out this side. Now any of the plants I don't have in shade, I can move into this area here and they'll receive, water when this is going. They're already not in shade, so they're not going to be, stressed out if they're in the sun. So I need to do that for every zone, then cram all of my plants as close to the sprinkler as I can. I'll go right underneath of it, well, right in the general vicinity of it, and out from there. And then I'll run another test to make sure I don't have dry zones. Okay, so I moved the sprinkler down here about 5 feet this way, and it gets that whole area plus some of this out here, but it does get almost 2 or 3 feet of the end of this shade tunnel. So now I know where to move the plants in this region to get water. And now it's just repeating that in every section of my nursery. The good thing, if you can see it, is, let's see. The thing I'm noticing is that I'm getting water from this side into the other side of the shade tunnel. So that's good. That's just extra insurance that when that sprinkler is running, the other plants are getting watered as well. This is the more challenging area I have. And this shade house is where I propagate, and I wanted to get a mist system set up in here, but I'm not going to have time. So with these little doodads, I'm going to see where the water goes. I might need to move all my prop plants onto the ground, but they definitely need to stay in the shade. I actually think what I want to do here is move. I'm not sure. I have some decisions to make. And when I figure that out, I'll come back. Okay, with this sprinkler setup, I believe if I put my cuttings on the ground, they'll get a little extra shade. Plus, they're going to get watered from both directions. So the cuttings, when you're propagating, you absolutely cannot let the soil dry out, or all your work is just done for. So if I take these plants off to my, I'm not sure if this is in screen or not, from this black barrel over, I think if I take those plants and shove everything this way between those two sprinklers, I should be good. And then the plants, we'll move the camera here. So as it stands right now, I have 4 sprinklers. I think if I take all of these plants and move them either this way or where this sprinkler can get to them, that will give me adequate coverage. Also, only having 4 sprinklers reduces the amount of time the timers have to, keep track of things. Now, we are done with the flower garden for the year, but I'm not trying to turn my soil into a desert. So I will water very heavily the day before we leave. We have pretty sandy soil, so it'll drain. That way I don't rot my dahlia tubers. Because I have 3 of these with 2 emitters or 2 zones available, and I only have 4 sprinklers running, that leaves me an entire unit to run the drip irrigation for the flower garden, because I'm not trying to turn our soil into a desert while we're gone. So I have a bunch of plants to move. And it is Monday. We're not leaving till Friday. So this gives me days where I can observe the system working and make sure that, I don't have any dry zones, that the pump is actually able to keep up with this, and that everything continues to work the way it's supposed to work. That way, if there are issues, I can address it before we leave instead of having dead plants when I return. Back, it's day 2 of moving plants, but it's actually day 3 since I started filming, because yesterday it rained most of the day, which was good for the plants. But you've heard me mention in my videos that this has been the weirdest growing year ever. I've talked to other farmers and other flower farmers in my area, and they're all experiencing the same thing. A lot of us are closing down here in the middle of October just because you can't rely on anything, right? My dahlias, some of them waited forever to start going, I think because of soil temperature. But let me show you the gorgeousness that I have going on right now. These are absolutely stunning, and really, they're just starting to come on here as the temperatures are cooling down, which is so weird for dahlias. But they're full, they're luscious, gorgeous color, no pest damage. Like, where have you been all season, darlings? Where have you been? These white have been producing, but there's a grasshopper right there. They have suffered some bug damage. But these are just cranking out. And this is just one small dahlia patch. Most of my dahlias are on the farthest end of the garden here. But these are ones that I had ordered that come in. These are the first year really harvesting these. But, I mean, she's lovely. Single petaled, but lovely. I've moved the camera down to get the batteries on my zoom lens are running low. So, but yeah, this is just, oh my gosh, stunning. Okay, back to moving plants. Well, the wind is kicking up here, and thankfully, I have moved all the plants. Anything left over there is just needs to be put away. But I'm out of time. I have a bunch of things I need to do to get ready for this trip. So I'm going to end this video. Okay, as you can see, I got all my plants moved. Anything left over there is dead or an annual that is going to get pitched anyway when we get back. So I have a ton of things I need to do. I will link down below the sprinkler controllers that I'm using, or the hose bib controllers that I'm using. Those work great if you're going to go away for a week or so. This has really been, you know, when I'm here every day, it doesn't matter. Like, I can control the watering, but yeah. The timers were relatively inexpensive. The instructions on using them are easy to follow. They come with batteries and the little rubber gaskets and little tiny rolls of plumber's tape. So I highly recommend them. This is the second time I've used them this season. They're great. Moving the plants was probably the worst part of this, but I really needed to kind of move them for the season anyway and get them grouped in tighter to prepare for winter. So like this video if you like this video. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. And until next time, keep growing strong.